The laugh echoed for the reception of the central police station as if it were an internal joke. Marcus Hall, 42, standing before the counter, felt every look cross it as invisible blades. His large body, the polo shirt stretched over his belly, his calm hands holding a black paste. He didn't move, just waited. "Really, man, do you want to talk to the captain?" The policeman behind the counter, a young man with impeccable uniform and crooked smile, could barely contain his laughter. "Look, we have no reinforced chair here. Maybe you better leave before breaking something." The other two police next to the side exploded in laughter. One of them hit his colleague's shoulder as if he had just heard the best joke of the year. Marcus took a deep breath. His dark eyes remained fixed in the officer in front of him. He knew that kind of contempt. "I knew well. I need to talk to Captain Reynolds. It's urgent." "Urgent?" The policeman leaned over the counter, exaggerating curiosity. "Let me guess. Has anyone stole your dessert?" More laughs. A woman sitting in the waiting room deflected her look, embarrassed. Marcus did not react. He just put the paste over the counter with a calm, almost formal movement. "Sir, I won't repeat. I need to talk to Captain Reynolds." The policeman sighed dramatically, as if dealing with a stubborn child. "Look, Gordo, do you think you can get here and send us? Do you know where it is? This is the Central Police Station of Portland. We don't meet Uber Eats requests." The laughs came back higher this time. One of them took off his cell phone and pointed toward Marcus, recording. "Dude, this will pump on TikTok." Marcus closed his eyes for a second, breathed, told up to 3. When he opened his eyes again, there was something different in them, something the policeman could not interpret. "Did you end?" The tone was low, controlled, almost polite, but there was weight on those words, the type of weight that makes the air dense. The policeman frowned, bothered by the energy change. "We ended up laughing." Silence. By a second fraction, the entire police station seemed to stop. Marcus opened the folder calmly and withdrew a white envelope. He put it on the counter, slowly pushing it toward the officer. "Give it to Captain Reynolds. Now." The policeman took the envelope with disdain, still laughing softly. He tore the edge, pulled the roll from the inside, and started reading. His expression has changed in seconds. The smile disappeared. The color of the face disappeared. "What shit is this?" He looked up at Marcus, now with something that was no longer contempt. It was confusion, and maybe, just perhaps, a beginning of fear. Marcus said nothing. He just crossed his arms and waited. The policeman swallowed dry, looked at his colleagues, who were now silent, and lifted the inner phone with his handy hand. "Captain, there's someone here who needs to talk to you." Pause. "No, sir. He brought a direct order from the Federal Public Security Department." Another pause. Longer. The policeman looked at Marcus as if he was seeing a ghost. "Yes, Lord." Immediately, he hung up. His face was pale. "The captain will go down. Now." Marcus nodded, without haste, without anger, without having to say anything else, because he knew something that these police officers were about to find out as worse as possible. 3 months before, Marcus Hall was not born important, born in a forgotten neighborhood of Detroit, where the noise of the sirens was a childhood soundtrack. Son of a cleaning lady and a mechanic who died when he was 10 years old, Marcus learned early that the world would not make anything easier for him, and when you are fat, poor, and black, the world likes to remind you every day. He was the first person in the family to finish high school, the first to enter college, the first to form in public administration, the first to pass the federal contest, and the first to be promoted after 18 years of relentless work to the position of regional director of public security. No one knew that in Portland. He had arrived in the city just 2 days ago, on a discreet mission of the federal department. Your function? Investigate serious allegations of abuse of authority, corruption, and misconduct in 3 police stations in the region. The Portland Central Police Station was the first on the list. Marcus had evidence, recordings, documents, testimonies, and now, after being publicly humiliated by those same police he had been investigating for weeks, he had something even more powerful: motivation. At the door of the captain's room opened with a crash. Captain David Reynolds, a 55-year-old man, gray hair and military posture, descended the stairs as if going to war. His eyes swept the reception until they found Marcus. And then, something unexpected happened. Reynolds his expression hardened, and he made a rigid, almost formal reverence. "Mr. Hall, I apologize for the inadequate reception." The silence at the police station was now absolute. The 3 policemen who laughed minutes ago were frozen, looking at the captain as if he had driven crazy. Marcus didn't smile, just tilted her head. "Captain Reynolds, thanks for the consideration, but I think your officers deserve an explanation, don't you think?" Reynolds turned slowly to the 3 police officers. His voice was pure ice. "This man is Marcus Hall, Regional Director of Federal Public Security. He has been here investigating this police station for 3 weeks. The policeman who made the dessert joke dropped his cell phone on the floor. And you have just been recorded humiliating a superior federal in service. Marcus, step ahead, his calm voice cutting the air like a sharp blade. You finished laughing. Now, I suggest you start worrying. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what comes next will leave you speechless. The silence at the police station was so heavy that it seemed to suck oxygen from the air. The 3 police officers remained paralyzed, looking at Marcus as if he had just materialized out of nowhere. The cell phone lying on the floor was still recording, capturing every second of that inverted humiliation. Captain Reynolds stepped forward, his jaw waged fury contained. Officers Carter, Donnelly, and Zhang, my office now. The police officer who made the dessert joke, Carter, tried to speak, but his voice came out. Captain, I didn't know. Now. The 3 climbed the stairs as condemned, marching to execution. Marcus observed each movement with impassive eyes. He did not feel pleasure. He didn't feel angry. Just a cold calm that came from years old learning to swallow humiliation worse than that. But this one was not going to swallow. Reynolds turned to Marcus, slightly lowering his voice. Mr. Hall, I can explain. It is not necessary. Marcus took the folder back from the counter. I already have everything I need. All? Marcus lifted an eyebrow. Captain, I didn't get here today by chance. I have been in Portland for 19 days. I know the name of each officer under his command. I know how many complaints were filed without an investigation. I know how many people were mistreated in this reception. And now, I have one more test recorded. Reynolds paled. Was the Lord watching us? My job is to observe. Marcus closed the folder with a dry crack. And you made it much easier. He walked slowly to the door, but stopped before leaving. He turned, staring at Reynolds in his eyes. Oh, and Captain? 3 officers? Immediate suspension. No salary. Internal investigation starts tomorrow at 8 a.m. I come back here on Monday, and when I come back, I want to see this police station working as I should. Reynolds swallowed dry. Yes, sir. Marcus went out the door without looking back. The woman in the waiting room watched him out, his eyes full of something he rarely saw to him. Respect. 2 weeks before, Marcus was sitting in a small coffee to 3 blocks from the police station, open laptop, connected headphones. On the screen, a sequence of amateur videos. Everyone had something in common. They had been recorded at the reception of the Portland Central Police Station. In the first video, a Hispanic woman cried while ignored for more than 2 hours. His son had disappeared, but no policeman seemed to care. In the second, a black man was pushed out of the police station after trying to register a theft. Go back when you have real witnesses, an officer shouted. In the third video, a young plus-size was ridiculed when asking for help against online harassment. Maybe if you lost a few pounds, no one would want to harass you, the policeman laughed. Marcus paused the video. It took a deep breath. He closed his eyes for a moment. That was not new. He had seen behavior like this before. In Detroit, in Baltimore, in Chicago. In every city he visited as a regional director, he found the same standards: abuse of power, systematic discrimination, police officers who treated citizens such as garbage. But this police station was different, because the complaints were not isolated. They were dozens, and they all pointed to the same thing: an institutional culture of contempt. Your cell phone vibrated. A message from Sarah Chen, his Washington assistant. Marcus, the Justice Department approved the full investigation. You are allowed to intervene directly. But beware, the Portland Police Union is strong. They will react. Marcus typed the answer calmly. Let them react. I have evidence. He knew what was at stake. He knew that entering a police station as a federal investigator was like entering enemy territory. But I also knew something that those police didn't know. He was not alone. Now, Marcus parked his rental car in front of a modest building in Portland's suburb. He turned off the engine and sat for a moment, watching the gray facade. Apartment 12B. He checked the address on his cell phone. It was there. He climbed the stairs slowly, feeling the weight of the day on his legs. When he knocked on the door, a female voice answered on the other side. Who is it? Marcus Hall, Federal Public Security Department. Pause. The door opened slowly. A 30-year-old woman, brown hair tied in a ponytail, back eyes of those who haven't slept for days, stared at him with suspicion. Are you who I think it's? Marcus nodded. Are you Angela Morrison? She hesitated, then signaled him to enter. The apartment was small but organized. There were pictures of a blonde girl on the wall. Marcus recognized his face. I had read her dossier more than 20 times. Angela closed the door and crossed her arms. Why are you here? Because I read your complaint and because I want you to know that I believe in you. Angela blinked, surprised. His voice trembled. You are the first. Marcus took an envelope from the folder and placed it on the table. This is the preliminary report of my investigation. There is enough evidence to process 3 officials for neglect and abuse of authority, including the officer who filed his case. Angela took the envelope with trembling hands, opened, started reading, and then, for the first time in months, she cried. But it was not crying of despair. It was relief. My daughter, she disappeared 6 months ago. I went to the police station 14 times. 14, and they did nothing. They said she probably fled. What teenagers do that? That I was exaggerating. Marcus sat in her chair before her, her calm but firm voice. I know, and I'll make sure they answer for it. Angela looked up, tears running down her face. Why? Why do you care? Marcus was silent for a moment. Then he responded with sincerity that rarely allowed him to surface. Because I've been ignored too. Because I know what it's like to be invisible. And because no one should go through it alone. Angela held the envelope against her chest, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Thanks. Marcus got up. Don't thank me yet. Monday, I'll be back to that police station, and when I finish, they'll want to hear you the first time. I turned, and when Marcus left the apartment, the sun was already setting. He got into the car and sat for a moment, looking at the orange horizon. Your cell phone rang. It was Sarah again. Marcus, I just received a warning. The Portland Police Union issued a statement. They are classifying their investigation as political persecution. They are mobilizing public support. Marcus smiled for the first time on the day. A cold smile. Great. The more noise they do, the more attention we will receive. Are you sure of that? They can try to discredit you. You can use anything against you. Marcus looked at his own reflection in the rearview mirror. A fat man, tired but relentless. Sarah, they already underestimated me at the police station. They have laughed at me. They have tried to humiliate me. He turned on the engine. And look where it took them. Yet what no one knew was that Marcus was not just investigating the Central Police Station. He was setting up a federal case that was going to overthrow Portland's entire corrupt system. And those cops who laughed at him, they were just the beginning. Marcus didn't sleep that night. Sitting at the cheap hotel room table that had rented around Portland, he organized documents like a general writing war strategy. Batteries of paper, pen drives, audio recordings, leaked internal conversations, prints. Each piece of the puzzle had its place, and the puzzle was almost complete. At 3:47 a.m., his laptop issued a warning. New email. Sender. Anonymous source. Internal. Marcus clicked. The attached file contained something he had been chasing for weeks. Internal records of occurrences archived without justification. More than 200 cases in the last 2 years. Assaults, aggressions, disappearances, all ignored, and all involving victims of minorities or vulnerable people. Marcus saved the file into 3 different pen drives. One would stay with him. Another would be sent to Sarah in Washington. The third, this he would keep in place that no one would ever find. He looked at the computer screen, where a photo of Carter, the policeman who humiliated him, appeared in an old disciplinary report. 3 warnings for inadequate conduct. 2 complaints of verbal abuse. No real punishment. You chose the wrong guy to make fun, Carter, Marcus murmured alone. The next morning, Marcus parked in front of a discreet office in downtown Portland. The plate at the door said, Chen and Associates, Criminal Advocacy. He entered and was greeted by a receptionist who greeted him with a genuine smile, something rare after years dealing with trial looks. Mr. Hall, Dr. Lena Chen is waiting. Marcus was taken to a meeting room where an Asian woman of about 40 years, thin frame glasses and impeccable posture, was flipping through a thick dossier. When Marcus entered, she looked up and stretched her hand firmly. Director Hall, it's an honor. Marcus squeezed her hand. Dr. Chen, thanks for accepting to find me. Lena gestured for him to feel. After reading the preliminary material you sent me, I couldn't refuse. This is gold, Marcus. Procedural gold. She opened the dossier and began to point out specific documents. You have evidence of systematic neglect, institutional discrimination, and now, with the recording of your public humiliation at the police station, you have something even more powerful. Evidence of direct bad faith. Marcus leaned forward. How long can we even move an action? Lena smiled. It was the smile of someone who loved to destroy injustices. If you give me 72 hours to organize the statements I have already collected from previous victims, I can file a federal civil action against the police station, the police union, and the 3 officers in person. And Captain Reynolds? He is complicit by omission. If we can prove that he was aware of the conduct and did not act, he falls together. Marcus leaned back in his chair, processing the information. For the first time in days, he felt something close to satisfaction. And the media? Lena raised an eyebrow. Do you want public exhibition? I want the whole country to see what happens when you ignore people because they don't fit your standard. Lena took the phone. I have contacts in 3 major press vehicles. When this story bursts, it will be national. Marcus nodded. So let's burst. Meanwhile, at the Central Police Station, hell had begun. Carter, Donnelly, and Zhang were sitting in the meeting room, all suspended without salaries, waiting to be interrogated by the internal corregidora. The mood was tense. No one spoke. No one looked at the other. Carter punched the table with his fist, breaking the silence. This is ridiculous. We didn't know who that fat was. Like the hell we would know. Donnelly, the oldest of the three, rubbed her face with her hands. No matter who he was, Carter, you were an idiot. We were idiot. And now we're screwed. Zhang, the only woman in the group, stared at the wall in silence. She knew she had recorded Marcus on her cell phone. I knew that video was now in the hands of the internal affairs, and I knew that if it leaked, it would be fired before the end of the week. The door opened. Captain Reynolds entered, accompanied by a man of gray suit that none of them knew. This is Inspector General Blake of the Federal Corregidora. He will conduct the interrogations. Blake didn't smile, did not greeted. It just opened a folder and started reading aloud. Official Carter, you are being charged with inadequate conduct, verbal abuse against federal superior, and violation of the Code of Police Ethics. Official Donnelly, same accusations. Official Zhang, in addition to previous accusations, you are being investigated for unauthorized filming of federal agent on duty. Carter tried to protest. Look, we don't. Silence. Blake hit the folder on the table. You three will give formal testimony, and if I find that you lied anywhere, I personally guarantee that you never see a police uniform in life. Reynolds watched everything from the door with dark expression. He knew that Marcus was not bluffing. He knew that if he didn't collaborate, he would be the next one. 3 days later, Marcus was back at the hotel when he received a call from Lena. Marcus, you need to see this. She sent a link. It was a Portland tax story published less than an hour ago. Humiliated federal director in Portland Police Station. Research exposes culture of abuse. Marcus read the whole story. Complete names, photos, testimonials by Angela Morrison and 5 other victims. And in the center of the report, a frame of the recording of Zhang. Marcus stopped at the counter, calm, while Carter laughed at him. The matter was exploding. More than 15,000 shares in less than 2 hours. Marcus took a deep breath. He felt a weight out of his shoulders. Sarah called seconds later. Marcus, you have become national news. CNN, NBC, everyone is covering. The Justice Department issued an official statement supporting its investigation. The police union is panicked. Marcus smiled. Good. But there's more. Carter tried to give an interview defending his conduct. It was a disaster. He called you too sensitive. The internet is destroying him. Marcus hung up and stared at the hotel window. Downstairs, the city followed its normal pace. But he knew that within that police station, nothing would be more normal. Because he had not gone to Portland to be respected. He had gone to make sure no one else was disrespected. On Monday morning, Marcus wore his best suit, adjusted the tie in the mirror. He took his folder, and he went to the second time to the Portland Central Police Station. But this time, he was not alone. Lena Chen accompanied him, 2 federal investigators too, and outside the police station, 3 press vans expected. Marcus climbed the steps from the entrance, and when he pushed the door, all eyes at the reception turned to him. But this time, no one laughed. This time, they lowered their heads. Marcus walked to the counter, where a different, older, respectful officer greeted him with formality. Mr. Hall, Captain Reynolds is waiting. Marcus nodded. Great, because I have a lot to say. Now, what no one knew was that Marcus was not just there to punish 3 police officers. He was about to dismantle an entire system, and Carter's worst nightmare, Donnelly and Zhang, was just beginning. The meeting room of the Portland Central Police Station had never been so silent. Marcus entered accompanied by Lena Chen, the 2 federal investigators and a representative of the Justice Department. Captain Reynolds was sitting at the head of the table, pale as paper. Beside him, Carter, Donnelly, and Zhang expected, with expressions ranging from fear and despair. Marcus put his paste on the table with a dry sound that echoed like a shot. Good morning. No one answered. Lena opened a laptop and turned the screen toward the 3 suspended officers. On the screen, the video recorded by Zhang was running on loop, Marcus being ridiculed, the laughter, the insults, each poisonous word preserved in high definition. This video has been seen by more than 2 million people in the last 72 hours, Lena began, her firm voice as steel. It is being used as evidence in 3 different processes, a civilian against you personally, an administrative against this police station, and a criminal for federal justice obstruction. Carter tried to speak, but Reynolds cut him off with a killer look. Lena continued, but the video is just the icing on the cake, because Director Hall did not come to Portland to investigate you 3 specifically. You just had the unlucky of being stupid enough to humiliate the wrong person. Marcus stepped forward, his hands crossed behind his back. I came to investigate 247 complaints archived without justification in the last 2 years. Complaints involving aggression, theft, disappearances, and harassment, all ignored, all involving minority victims. He paused, letting the weight of the words sink. And now, thanks to your work, I have enough evidence to process not only you, but the whole system of institutional neglect that allowed it to happen. Reynolds closed his eyes. He knew it was over. Marcus opened the folder and began distributing documents on the table. Each page was a bomb. Official Carter, you have closed 14 cases in the last 18 months without proper investigation, including the disappearance of Emma Morrison, Angela Morrison's daughter. Carter paled. I don't remember this case. Of course you don't remember. Marcus played a picture of Emma on the table. Because you didn't even bother to open the file. The photo showed a 16-year-old blonde girl smiling at a school party. Carter looked away. Marcus turned to Donnelly. Official Donnelly, you have classified 11 reports of aggression as inconclusive without collecting a single witness. 3 of these victims were elderly. One of them was hospitalized a week later because the attacker returned. Donnelly sank in the chair, and then Marcus looked at Zhang. And you, Official Zhang, you recorded my humiliation and laughed together. But what you didn't know is that that video has become federal evidence. And now, you are responsible for unauthorized filming of agent in service as well as complicity in institutional harassment. Zhang had tears in his eyes, but Marcus didn't feel sorry. You 3 had a chance to do the right thing, and you chose to laugh. Lena opened another file and read aloud. As determined by the Justice Department, Officers Carter, Donnelly, and Zhang are formally dismissed. Immediate effective. Your police licenses will be revoked at the state level. You will not be able to perform public safety function in any U.S. state. Carter exploded. This is unfair. We didn't know who he was. We were just what? Marcus interrupted his low but sharp voice. Just humiliating a citizen? Just making a joke about his body? Just recording to post on the internet? He leaned over the table, staring at Carter in his eyes. Do you think this is unfair? Do you know what is unfair? Angela Morrison will go 14 times to this police station begging for help and being ignored because you thought she was exaggerating. Do you know what is unfair? An old man being pushed out of here because you have no patience to hear. You know what is unfair? Carter was silent. There was no answer. Marcus walked away from the table and turned to Reynolds. Captain, you have 2 options. Collaborate fully with federal investigation and try to save what remains of your reputation, or be processed as an accomplice to all this. Reynolds took a deep breath. His 30-year career was crumbling before his eyes. I will collaborate. Marcus nodded. Great, because from now on this police station will undergo a complete renovation, new protocols, new training, new leadership, and any officer who doesn't fit the new standard will be removed. He took his pace and headed at the door but stopped midway. Oh, and one more thing. Marcus turned around, staring at the 3 former officials one last time. Emma Morrison was found, live, in a house abandoned 20 kilometers from here, where she was being kept in private jail by a man who already had criminal records. Background that you could have discovered if you had opened her file. The silence was deafening. She was rescued last night by an FBI team, and she will testify against you. Carter dropped his head between his hands. Donnelly closed her eyes. Zhang cried openly. Marcus left the room without looking back. Outside the police station, 3 press vans were waiting. Reporters clustered as soon as Marcus appeared at the door. Camera flashes exploded as fireworks. Director Hall, is it true that 3 police were fired? Director Hall, what do you have to say about accusations of institutional negligence? Director Hall, how do you feel being called a hero on social networks? Marcus stopped at the top of the stairs and raised his hand, asking for silence. The cameras focused on it. He spoke slowly, every calculated word. I'm not a hero. I'm just a civil servant doing my job. But what happened here in this police station is a reflection of a much larger problem. Vulnerable people being ignored, complaints being archived, citizens being treated as invisible. He paused. This is over today. And if there are other police stations, other departments, other institutions that think they can treat people like that, no, I will find them. And I will make sure you answer. The reporters exploded in questions, but Marcus descended the stairs calmly, getting into his car. Lena entered the passenger seat, smiling. You just became viral again. Marcus turned on the engine. Well, maybe now people pay attention. And that night, Marcus was sitting in a small, quiet restaurant when her cell phone rang. It was Angela Morrison. Marcus, I don't know how to thank. My daughter is home. She's safe, thanks to you. Marcus closed his eyes, feeling a deep relief. I just did what should have been done from the beginning, Angela. No, her voice trembled. You did more. You returned me my daughter, and showed that there are still good people. Marcus hung up and stared out the window. Outside, The city shone under the lights of the night. He knew the battle was not over. There would be resources, processes, retaliation, but he knew one thing too. He was no longer alone, and neither Angela, neither Emma, nor any of the 247 victims whose voices would finally be heard. Sudri Mausul, Carter, Donnelly, and Zhang never put on a uniform again. His careers ended in that room, but the impact of what Marcus did was just starting to spread across the country, and the question that echoed in each police station, in each department, was the same. What if he comes here too? 6 months later, Marcus Hall was sitting in a upholstered chair in NBC studio, adjusting the lapel microphone while the makeup artist was doing the last touches. On the other side of the cameras, the host of the country's most watched morning program leafed notes preparing for the interview. "Director Hall, we are live in 2 minutes," the producer warned. Marcus nodded, taking a deep breath. 6 months ago, he was an invisible man walking the streets of Portal, and today his face was on magazine covers, newspaper articles, documentaries. He had become the symbol of something larger, and he was still trying to sue all this. The red light lit. The host smiled at the camera. "We are here with Marcus Hall, Regional Director of Federal Public Security, the man who exposed one of the largest cases of institutional police negligence of the last decade. Director Hall, thanks for being with us." Marcus smiled back. "Calm. The pleasure is mine. A lot has changed since that day at the Portland Central Police Station. Can you tell us what happened since?" Marcus crossed his hands on his lap. "Well, after the initial investigation, we were able to process not only the 3 officers involved in the incident with me, but we identified a pattern of negligence that affected hundreds of families. The police station underwent a complete reform. New command, new protocols, mandatory sensitivity and ethics training. And the officers Carter, Donnelly, and Zhang," Marcus did not hesitate. "They were dismissed, their licenses permanently revoked. Carter tried to appeal, but the judge rejected based on the volume of evidence. Currently, he works in a construction material deposit. Donnelly moved to another state. Zhang, she sent me a letter apologizing." The presenter raised her eyebrows. "And you accepted?" Marcus thought for a moment. "I answered. I said the excuse does not erase the damage, but recognizing the error is the first step. If it really changed, time will say." The presenter turned to the camera. "And there is more. Marcus Hall has not stopped in Portland. Since then, he led investigations in 7 more cities, resulting in 23 layoffs, renovations in 12 police stations, and the creation of a new national protocol for the treatment of complaints." Marcus shook his head modestly. "I just did what should be done. The merit is the victims who had the courage to speak. By the way, Angela Morrison and her daughter Emma are here in the studio today." Marcus turned, surprised. The lights came on in another part of the studio, revealing Angela and Emma sitting side by side. Angela held her daughter's hand, tears in her eyes. Emma, now 17, smiled shyly. Marcus felt a knot in his throat. The presenter signaled them to approach. Angela got up and walked to Marcus, who stood up as well. She hugged him tightly. "You saved my daughter. You saved my life." Marcus closed his eyes, returning the hug. "You saved your own life, Angela. You never gave up." Emma approached and held out her hand. Marcus squeezed gently. "Thank you for finding me," she said, her voice firmly despite tears. Marcus smiled. "Thank you for being strong enough to survive." The camera captured every second. The whole studio was silent, thrilled. Meanwhile, in Portland, Carter was stacking cement bags on a dirty, dusty deposit. His hands were calling. His back hurt. The work uniform was dirty with dust. He stopped for a moment, cleaning his forehead sweat when he heard voices from the office. "Dude, did you see Marcus Hall on TV today? What a legend. I saw it, and think there are people who laughed at that guy. Imagine the shame now." Carter closed his eyes. The shame was real, constant, daily. He could no longer enter social networks without seeing comments about him. He couldn't go to a bar without someone recognizing his face from the viral video. "I couldn't look in the mirror without feeling the weight of what I had lost. Your career, your pride, your identity, all destroyed because he laughed at the wrong person." He returned to work, stacking bags in silence, alone, invisible, just as he made Marcus feel that day. Back to the studio, the presenter turned to Marcus one last time. "Director Hall, what message would you like to leave to the people who are watching now?" Marcus looked straight at the camera. His voice was firm but kind. "If you have already been judged by your appearance, ignored by your origin, ridiculed by your body, know that you are not alone, and know that your dignity does not depend on anyone's approval." He paused. "And for those who think they can humiliate others without consequences, I have a message. Beware of whom you underestimate. Because one day the person you laughed can be exactly the one who will change your life." The studio exploded in applause. 3 months later, Marcus was in Washington in a formal ceremony in the Justice Department. He had been promoted to the National Director of Police Reform, a position created especially to lead structural changes across the country. Sarah Chen was beside him, smiling proudly. "You deserve it, Marcus." He adjusted the tie, looking around the room full of authorities, journalists, activists. "I don't believe it yet. Believe me, you changed the game." Marcus took the microphone to his inauguration speech. He looked at the audience and saw known faces. Angela and Emma, Lena Chen, victims he had helped over the months. People who, like him, had been invisible, but it was no longer. "When I entered that police station in Portland, I didn't expect to be respected. I expected to be ignored. Because that's what happens when you don't fit the standard." He paused. "But I learned something important. Respect is not given. It's won. And justice is not a favor. It's a right." The applause echoed through the hall. "So, starting today, I promise to use this position to ensure that no one else is treated as invisible. May no denunciation be filed by prejudice, that no victim is ignored because someone has decided that it doesn't matter." Marcus raised his fist. "Because we all care, and together, let's prove it." The whole room got up, applauding standing. Epilogue. 2 years later, Marcus was sitting at his Washington office when he received a letter, without sender, just a handwritten name in the envelope. "Carter." He opened. "Director Hall, I know I don't deserve your time. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know, I was wrong, completely wrong. I lost everything, my career, my reputation, my friends. And at first I blamed you. I thought you had been cruel. But over time I realized the truth. You didn't destroy me. I destroyed myself. Because I chose to laugh instead of helping. I chose to judge instead of listening. I don't expect you to answer me. I just wanted you to know. You taught me the hardest lesson in my life, and I will never forget. Thanks for showing me who I really was, and give me a chance to try to be better. Carter." Marcus doubled the letter slowly. He kept in the drawer, and returned to work, because he had more police stations to reform, more victims to help, more voices to amplify, and he wouldn't stop. Never. The moral of history? Never underestimate anyone, because the person you laugh today can be the one who changes the world tomorrow, and when that happens, you will want to have chosen the kindness. Marcus Hall proved that the best revenge is not cruelty. It is success. It is dignity. It's justice. And in the end, he did not win alone. He won by all those who were invisible, for all who were ignored, for all who deserved to be heard. Because in the end, we all deserve respect, no matter the size of the body, no matter the color of the skin, no matter where we came from. We are human, and that is enough. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this need to be told. And people like Marcus need to be remembered. Until next time.